I did have a great conversation with a software engineer who saw part 2 of Roth conversions. And he asked me one question that really set me back. And I thought, this is a good question, and I wanted to share it in part 3. He said, Chris, part 1, great. Part 2, awesome. But there's one thing I can't wrap my head around. If this is so great, why does the federal government allow it? And I thought it was a great question.
Retirement for life. Your passport to a comfortable and confident retirement. The podcast that's equal parts education and entertainment, where we break down the retirement maze with a dash of fun and a heap of wisdom from your host, Christian Sear CPA, the passionate retirement specialist and president of Sear Financial Wealth Advisors, the independent registered investment advisor specializing in the AIM retirement system.
Everybody, welcome to episode 16 of Retirement for Life. If you haven't met me yet, my name is Christian Sear, your partner in retirement, your partner for life. This is the Retirement for Life podcast show. You guys look great today. A-team, how you guys doing?
Doing great.
Yeah, we just practiced this podcast. I think it went really good, but I think we can do a better job now we're live. We are talking about Roth conversions. We've done 3 parts. We've done 2 so far. This is part 3. I got to tell you, the first part of this series was about the basics of Roth conversions. And I have said boldly for years that I think, seriously, this is the single biggest opportunity for a generation of savers.
Yep.
I have said that caught people's attention. And then we did part 2, which was how an actual client generated an additional $974,000 of multi-generational wealth for him and his family. And that episode just went through the roof. A lot of people asking questions, though, because part 1 was the basics. Part 2 was an actual example, which I don't think anyone's actually seen an actual example. And that's why I was proud to put it out there. But now people are asking questions. And if you're listening and watching, you've already watched part 1 and part 2. You understand this. You understand the benefits of it. You've identified that you really might be a candidate for this, but now you have specific questions. That's what we're going to talk about today. In part 1, really quickly, what did we touch base on?
You said the basics of a Roth conversion. What is it? Like you said, biggest opportunity for a generation of savers.
That's right.
Yep. We also were talking about who should actually consider doing
Who
that.
should do this? Who shouldn't do this? Yep.
We talked about your great analogy, paying the toll now instead of pushing it down and paying the toll at the end.
Time out. So once again, I come through as the king of analogies because I can't tell you how many people said that bridge analogy, they've never understood Roth conversions. I talked to a guy in California about this. He said that explanation of the toll and the bridge, I've been listening and trying to understand Roth conversions for years. That was the best analogy. So if you want to crown me right now, Brooke, okay?
There it is.
What else did we talk about in part 1?
How it's a ticking tax time bomb, which
And
Ed Slott, we
stole it from Ed Slott, but it's a ticking tax time bomb. People don't realize they have $1 million in their 401k. They're going to be paying 6-7 figures of taxes in their lifetime, depending on how long they live. And their kids are going to be paying a lot of taxes also.
Yep.
It's a growing problem, requirement and distributions. And then we talked about some of the considerations. Now in part 2, we got into the details. What was that like?
Yeah. We talked about, that real life example you mentioned where you save, $970,000.
Basically $1 million by doing a Roth conversion. And this is not like, some crazy wealthy person. This is a person who had saved up $2 million. And he and his family generated $974,000. The feedback on this was incredible. And I'll tell you the reason why. Because people actually got to see what it meant, right? Like, for example, I wrote down here, if you remember on part 2, that gentleman at age 80 was going to pay $43,000 of federal income taxes, right? And I showed him if he did a Roth conversion, instead of paying $43,000 in taxes when he's 80, he would be paying $11,000. It's like a $33,000 savings.
Yeah.
And it adds up year after year after year. And I also showed him that he's probably going to save $512,000 of taxes in his lifetime. So that was the detailed example. Today, we're going to talk about the specifics, what to do before you do a Roth conversion, what to think about. We're going to talk about tax perspective, logistics.
Yeah.
And Andrea, I have to say, because you're living and breathing this every day, this was the topic that the details that you wanted to get into.
Yep.
So we're going to get into those. But before we do, I did have a great conversation with a software engineer who saw part 2 of Roth conversions.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked me one question that really set me back. And I thought, this is a good question, and I wanted to share it in part 3. He said, Chris, part 1, great. Part 2, awesome. But there's one thing I can't wrap my head around. If this is so great, why does the federal government allow it? And I thought it was a great question.
Mm-hmm.
And this is an important question. And I thought, this is worth tackling. Very simply, we have a government. You said the other day, now officially
This morning, it popped on my phone. It's $35 trillion
the
in debt.
federal deficit, the debt is $35 trillion. That's 35 with 12 zeros. Okay. And what did we say? We're spending
Wasn't it $6 million?
$6 million.
$6 million a minute.
Yeah.
Okay. Now just think about this. Okay. Imagine your household. Okay. And your household is bringing in $1 trillion less in income than your expenses. Do you think that's stressful?
Yeah.
Do you think if you have to come up with $6 million a minute, do you think there's a lot of time for long-term thinking? No. What's happening is it's like if you run out of gas, right? You're in a sleepy town. You don't know where the gas station is. You're literally on fumes. You pull up to the gas station. You're like, thank goodness I finally found the gas station. Okay. This has happened to me personally. I hate to say it. You're at the gas station and some local walks up and they say, hey, sir, did you know that if you drive 2 miles across town, you can save 10 cents a gallon? I'm on fumes, buddy. This has nothing to do with saving money at this point. It's like, I need gas. Okay.
Yeah.
The United States Treasury is literally looking for $6 million a minute. Nobody's thinking about what can we do for long-term here. I believe that the federal government is happy to take money now as opposed to making a good long-term decision, because Roth conversions are literally taking money out of the federal government's pockets. Okay. But they're not going to change it. Now, some people like Biden, recently, he came out with a proposal. It was actually earlier this year. His suggestion was, or his proposal was, to eliminate Roth conversions for certain Americans. Okay. So that threat is out there, but I don't think it will ever come to fruition. But if it does, it highlights why this is a timely matter.
Right.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Doing it now might be something that you can't do in the future. Okay.
Yeah.
Another reason to do it now is because of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that was put into place about 8 years ago. And that put us at all-time low tax rates. Okay. You remember? No, neither of you remember. 1962, I think it was. Brooke probably knows.
Yeah.
1962, I think it was, when the Beatles took Ed Sullivan's stage. Okay. They're on the Ed Sullivan Show. Look up, Brooke, you can just look this up. The top tax rate in 1962 was something like 85% or something like that. Okay. Right now, we are at all-time low tax rates. Well, guess when does the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act expire?
2026.
Right. So this all-time low tax environment that we're in, this regime of low taxes is going away, which is another reason why this is a timely thing. Good question. I just wanted to tackle it. Why isn't the government getting rid of this? Because I don't think they can afford to right now. They need to come up with $6 million a minute.
Yep.
But it is timely. Perhaps this opportunity for Roth conversions could go away.
So we need to talk about what has to happen before this conversion.
Yeah, let's talk about that. There are 4 things in the AIM retirement system, 4 goals. Number 1, the main goal is to maximize chances of retirement success.
Yep.
Number 2 is to increase or maximize your income stability, reduce your reliance on the stock market. Goal number 3, and these are in order. Goal number 3 is to reduce taxes as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And number 4, once you've done the first 3 things, is what smart moves can we make to just maximize the multi-generational wealth, not only of us, but perhaps our children. Okay. And those 4 things in those orders.
Mm-hmm.
The Roth conversion specifically tackles point number 3, reducing taxes, and point number 4, multi-generational wealth. Before you are tackling a Roth conversion, you have to go through the process of a detailed level 5 financial plan. Roth conversion is one of the last things you tackle, right?
Yeah.
So What would be some examples of things you need to know before you even start to consider a Roth conversion?
One of the biggest factors in any financial plan is the expenses. People don't know what they're spending.
We saw that yesterday.
Mhm.
People they don't have a clue what their expenses are. Don't think about a Roth conversion until you and your financial advisor have dialed in what you're going to spend in your retirement. What else?
So you need to optimize your Social Security. When are you going to collect?
You have to know your Social Security optimal strategy. When are you going to start Social Security? You can't start thinking about a Roth until you know when Social Security is going to start, right? The two are kind of go hand in hand, but let's figure out that Social Security first. What else?
What is your investment strategy going to be during retirement or up to retirement?
Are you going to be in an aggressive portfolio? Have you and your advisor decided you're a conservative investor? What's appropriate for you? We need to know these things and more. So the whole point is before the conversion, the details matter about your financial plan.
Yep.
After you have figured out what your main financial plan looks like, then you can tackle Roth conversions.
There's a few things we do need to talk about, some specific logistics, coordination.
Yeah. Now that you've had the ability to stomach tax payments, Brandon, do you think that's something we should talk about?
Yeah, the tax payments are a big deal for people. I mean, even if they're for a Roth conversion, the tax payments can put them off.
Okay. I've seen it. We've seen it. Gone through the entire AIM retirement system. 95% chance of retirement success. Now we're tackling Roth conversions. We show and prove to a couple who is nearing retirement that a Roth conversion strategy is going to save them 6 figures in taxes. They can see it, but it's scary. Why? Why is it scary?
It's the taxes. I mean, where are the taxes coming from? How are we paying for the taxes? And just the bill itself is overwhelming sometimes.
So here's the example that really typifies what we're talking about here, okay? I saw this video the other day. Somewhere in the world, there's a huge canyon that there's this bridge that goes across it, and it's got a glass floor. So as you're walking across the canyon, you can see down thousands of feet or whatever. People are walking across this, and the one person just can't do it. I'm one of those people. I'm scared to death of heights.
Same.
I know that in my mind, this bridge is sturdy. I've just watched 5 people walk across it to the other side. But for some reason, I can't do it. A lot of people, not a lot, some people that we've seen understand that this is a safe thing, understand that this is a good thing, but they just can't do it. When we say a Roth conversion will save you 6 figures, but it's going to cost you this year $40,000 in taxes, $50,000 in taxes, that's something you have to be aware of if you're going to do a Roth conversion. This could be a scary thing. But if you get over that fear, you have to have a Roth, right?
Yeah.
So why would you set up a Roth ahead of time?
You want to start a Roth sooner than later.
You want to
If you
start
throw
a Roth
10
sooner
bucks
than
in
later.
it. There's the 5-year clock rule, which we'll get into later.
Yeah. I mean, you have to have a Roth IRA set up, right? You have to have this landing zone for this Roth. Because remember what we talked about. You've got this money over here in your 401k or your IRA, and it's going to be moved in a Roth conversion to a Roth. You have to have that Roth IRA set up. It's like the landing zone. And the longer you have that landing zone in place, the better. We'll talk about that. Typical strategy, what is it? Like, how are we deciding how we're going to do this? What's a typical example of a Roth conversion? What's the strategy?
Yeah, most Roth conversions, we're looking at keeping someone in the 22 to 24% tax bracket, and we're looking at how much their income is and how much we can squeeze into that tax bracket.
Right. So it's like, okay, Mr. Customer, you're working today. You and your wife are in the 24% tax bracket. Once you retire, you're not going to be in that 24% tax bracket. But by doing a Roth conversion, you're still going to be paying taxes, even though you're not working. But we're going to keep you in that 24% tax bracket. Generally speaking, the sweet spot for Roth conversions that we've seen is that 22, 24% tax bracket. We very rarely do anything in the 30s. Just doesn't make sense. But because of that, it's spread out over time. Now, we have to talk about coordination with a CPA. So I'm going to give you an example. Mr. and Mrs. Customer decide they're going to do a Roth conversion. It's going to be in the first year, they're going to take $200,000 out of their IRA and they're going to convert to the Roth. How do we know that it's $200,000? How do we know the amount? According to a recent study, the average American feels like they need nearly $1.5 million to retire comfortably. That's a 53% increase compared to the same study just 4 years ago. But is that the right number for you? And are you doing everything you can to maximize your financial situation? The AIM Retirement Assessment can help you figure that out. This free assessment is a simple 3-step process. Answer a few questions about yourself. Spend 15 minutes discussing your situation with one of our retirement specialists, and then we get to work. You'll receive a customized report detailing your exposure to the 7 biggest risks in retirement and the 3 most impactful action items you can take to supercharge your retirement. And if you already have a financial plan, this assessment will help you see what real retirement planning looks like. Get your AIM assessment today and see the difference between a financial generalist and a retirement specialist. Go to aimassessment.com today to get started. That's aimassessment.com.
We work a lot with a CPA, and since we're a level 5 advisor, we can just go down the hall and talk to our CPAs. How much can we convert to keep them within that tax bracket that we have set for them?
Yeah. And so is that pretty easy? Like, we have CPAs here. So how does that work for you, Andrea? Like, just talk me through it.
Yeah.
I'm a customer. How does that work?
Well, literally, the office next to mine is a CPA. So I just walk in there and we have a discussion about this particular client and what tax bracket they need to be in. And, if we can convert $200,000 for your example, then they have to pay $40,000 in taxes. And then the logistics of that,
Right.
Are we able to use a taxable account? Are we making estimated tax payments?
Right. So let's be clear. We said maybe a good strategy might be to do a Roth conversion, but keep you under the 24% tax bracket. What that number is, it could be $190,000. It could be $210,000. We don't know how much are you going to convert to keep you under that 24% tax bracket.
Mm-hmm.
The answer lies within your tax return. Unfortunately, you have to do the conversion in a calendar year. We don't know what your tax return is going to look like. So we need a CPA, generally November, early December timeframe, who knows what your tax return is going to look like, so they can tell us this is the amount that we need to convert this year. Mm-hmm. It helps if you have an advisor with CPA sitting there. Otherwise, what are we doing? We're trying to talk to somebody's outside CPA.
Yeah.
It's just a nightmare. And you touched on it. So let's be clear. When you convert $200,000, if that's the number, there's a tax bill associated with that. Let's say it's $40,000. There's 2 ways that you can pay that $40,000. What's the first way?
The first way is you can just move $160,000 into your Roth from your traditional IRA, and that $40,000 goes straight to the government.
So $200,000 sitting in your 401k on day one. You do the $200,000 conversion. The next day you have $160 in your Roth, and $40 has gone to Uncle Sam, which is not as good as option 2, which is what?
Taking the money out of either a bank or a taxable account and paying the tax bill, so that total $200 moves into the Roth.
So now you have the full $200 that's been moved from your 401k or IRA into your Roth. Now you're maximizing the benefits of a Roth. Now you do have to have a checking account or a taxable investment account with $40,000 saying not everyone has that.
Yeah.
But the more money you have sitting on the sidelines to pay the taxes, the more you can maximize the Roth benefit. And of course, it goes without saying, your tax return, if you do a Roth conversion, there's special forms you have to fill out. But that's just some of the details that people ask about. What does the tax return look like? It has an extra form on it. Okay, what's the next topic we need to discuss of questions that people have been asking us about the details of a Roth conversion?
There's definitely some timing to it, and monitoring and adjustments have to go on as well.
You don't do all this at once.
Nope.
Yeah, generally, some of our clients are doing this in a 3-year period. Some are doing it a 10-year period. Some people are dragging this out for 20 years. It just depends.
Yeah.
Okay. Like I said, when we do a conversion, it's usually at the end of the year. We're working with a CPA, but there might be opportunities where you might want to do this Roth conversion at a different time of the year. What would be an example of that?
Yeah, I know in 2022, we did a lot of them earlier in the year just because the market was down. So you convert while it's down. And then when the market comes back up, it's recovering in the Roth.
Right. So you want growth in the Roth IRA. And so it makes sense that you're going over this bridge, you're paying a toll. You want the toll to be as low as possible. it just makes sense that if the market is down, the opportune time to do a Roth conversion might not be in November, might not be in early December. It might be like 2022 when the market was going down because Russia had invaded Ukraine and the market was tanking.
Yep.
Now, I was thinking about that though. Some of those conversations were hard conversations because in 2022, people were watching their portfolios go down. We talk to clients. We keep them from going crazy. We try and stop them from being too emotional.
Yeah.
But that conversation is hard because your portfolio is down
Yeah.
10, 12, 13%. And now we're calling you up and saying, hey, let's do a Roth conversion right now.
And let's write a check to the government
Yeah.
for however much in tax.
It's a
we
hard
got.
conversation, but if you're just really following the gauges, it's the right time to do it. So
Yeah.
it can happen where the timing of this is not at the end of the year. Sometimes if there's a mid-year crisis, we will do it in the middle of the year, but generally speaking, end of the year makes sense. And let's just say that once you decide to do a Roth conversion, we reevaluate every year.
Yep.
Right? Things change, circumstances change, life changes around us, and tax rates can certainly change. So, if this is a 3, 5, or 10-year type of thing, we want to do that and not just set it and forget it. We want to start it and monitor it. That's important to say. And lastly, we have some thoughts and considerations. Can you undo a Roth conversion?
No.
Okay. For some reason, this scares people. But remember what you're doing. You're taking money and putting it into a bucket called a Roth. And this bucket will ever be taxed ever again.
Nope.
No. Will your kids pay taxes on this?
No.
So while you can't undo a Roth, it's hard for me to think of a scenario where you can't undo it. You can't recharacterize it. That doesn't scare me. But it should be said that once you move this into a Roth, you can't undo it.
Yep.
Okay, now we're going to talk about the last thing that I really despise. It's the distribution rules. We've done 3 parts on Roth conversions, and I don't want to go through this, but we would be remiss if we did not at least tackle it.
Yeah.
The reason I don't like talking about the distribution rules of Roth, 2 reasons. Number one, the rules, which we're about to go over here, are just unbearingly mind-numbing. It's like trying to keep track of it is a lot. You need a CPA. You need a great financial advisor who understands these rules. That's reason number one. Nobody wants to be bored to death by rules. Number 2, it generally doesn't apply to any of our clients.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're talking to clients in our neck of the woods, in our niche, who are retired, who have done a good job saving, who have other funds available. And these rules don't apply, but we need to talk about them. So first, the general rule. Okay. If this rule applies to you, you don't have to listen to all these other rules. And this rule applies to most of our clients. Okay. Roth distributions are tax and penalty free if you are 59 and a half or older and you funded a Roth, any Roth, 5 years ago or more. Okay. I'll say that again. Roth distributions are tax and penalty free if you are 59 and a half and older and you funded a Roth at least 5 years ago, which is why we said earlier, if you have a good advisor, and I said earlier, you don't necessarily know if it's right to jump into a Roth. In the future, you might make the decision to do a Roth conversion. But that 5-year clock starts for everybody. And so any good advisor is starting a Roth, even how much do we put in a Roth?
$10.
Just put $10 into a Roth right now. You might have a $10 Roth that you'll never do anything with. But by doing that now, you're starting the 5-year clock. And that's why you don't have to worry about penalties on distributions, taxes on distributions. If you have that 5-year clock started, you're good as gold. But there are 3 buckets I want to talk about, and this is an often confused topic. We are talking in this 3-part series about Roth conversions, but there's also Roth contributions, right? Roth contribution is what? What's a Roth contribution?
Like your $7,000 annual contribution.
I'm putting $7,000 this year into an IRA. My CPA told me I can put $7,000. I can contribute $7,000 to my Roth. Okay.
Yep.
That is different than what we're talking about. We're talking about Roth conversion, where you're taking money out of pot number one, IRAs, 401ks, and putting into pot number two, Roth. Okay.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That is bucket number one, contributions, and bucket number two, conversions. There's also a third bucket, the earnings that you make while this money is in a Roth IRA. So let's go through those three buckets.
Mm-hmm.
Bucket number one is the $7,000 Roth contribution. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That can always be taken out. You can take a distribution from your Roth contribution. You can take that out anytime. So think about it. If you're in tax time and you're writing a $7,000 check as a Roth contribution, you're generally writing a check out of what?
Out of your bank account.
Out of your bank account. That bank account has already been taxed.
Mm-hmm.
You've already done everything you need to do with that. So just because you wrote a check out of your checking account for $7,000, the very next day, if you wanted to, it's in a Roth, you can take out that $7,000 Roth contribution. Now, not the earnings though. So if that account has grown to $7,200, we're only talking about the $7,000 initial contribution, not the $200 of earnings. We'll talk about that later. Which brings me to bucket number two, conversions. That's what we're talking about in this three-part series. Conversions, distributions of that principal, that original amount that you converted, are not taxed or penalized if you're 59 and a half or older, or you have done a specific conversion 5 years or more. So let me give you some examples, okay? So if you look at that screen, I'll give you guys three examples so people can understand this rule. Okay. Example number one, I am 50 years old. I convert $100,000 to a Roth IRA, okay? 3 years later, I'm now 53 years old. That $100,000 Roth has grown to $120,000, okay? Can I take out the $100,000 of principal?
No.
Can I take out the $20,000 of earnings?
No.
No. Because why? Am I 59 and a half? No, I'm 53. Did I do the Roth conversion 5 years ago or more?
It's 3 years.
No. Okay. You're keeping track of every specific Roth conversion you do.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take the same example and just change up one variable. Instead of me being 53, it's now 6 years later, and I'm now 56. I have $120,000 in my Roth. 6 years ago, I put $100,000 to it. It has now grown to $120,000. Can I now take the $100,000 of my Roth conversion out?
Yes.
No penalties, no taxes. I've waited the 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's do one more example. I am now 57 years old. I'm doing my first Roth conversion. Okay, it's $100,000. And now it's 3 years later, I'm now 60. Okay. Again, the $100,000 has grown to $120,000. Can I take out the $100,000?
Yes.
Why?
So you are 60 now. You're over 59
Right.
and a half.
Remember, this is an or statement. Okay. I am 60 years old. I didn't do the Roth conversion 5 years ago, but I'm over 60. Okay.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That is bucket number two, the Roth conversion principle. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Which leads us to the final bucket, earnings. Okay. We had two examples. One was $7,000 turned into $7,200. The $200 is earnings.
Mm-hmm.
We had another example, $100,000 turns into $120,000. The $20,000 is earnings.
Yep.
Distributions of Roth earnings are not taxed or penalized if you are 59 and a half or older and you funded any Roth 5 years ago or more. So that's basically our general rule of thumb. So again, our clients are not doing a Roth conversion to take money out of a Roth 2 years later.
Right.
All these distribution rules are kind of meaningless for our clients because they are doing this for the long term. They're moving money into a Roth to let it grow. Remember, the AIM retirement system, we've already taken care of the Social Security. We've already taken care of the mailbox money. Those two components are giving you the income you need for life.
Mm-hmm.
This money that we're moving to the Roth, you're not using. After age 70, you've got your maximized Social Security, you got the mailbox money.
Yep.
Those incomes are enough. That Roth just grows and grows and grows. So this distribution rules, while they're boring to go through, and we need to go through them, they don't apply typically to our clients.
Right.
So that wraps up three-part Roth episodes. I thought they were great. My favorite topic, Brooke says nobody likes Roth conversions. I don't care what you say, Brooke. I love Roth conversions. This is my show. I'm going to do it. I love Roth conversions. When people are watching these Roth videos, there's a lot of questions. Okay. I said in part one, generally speaking, if you have $1 million of investable assets and you're nearing retirement, a Roth conversion is basically going to generate an additional $500,000, $500,000. Okay. Austin, I made you do the study. You went through hundreds of Roth conversions that we've done in our office. On average, you take your total investable assets and divide it by 2. That is, on average, going to be the benefit that you are going to get from doing a Roth conversion. Mm-hmm. But people are saying, what's my number? Like, how much can a Roth conversion save me? And that's where they go to aimassessment.com. And Brooke, what is the AIM assessment?
AIM assessment is just 9 questions. They can fill it out. It's fairly easy. Pretty easy.
Super simple.
Yeah.
They're not tough questions.
Like name, age.
It's not Mensa.
No. And then, once they submit it, one of our retirement specialists will reach out and kind of go over it and answer any of their questions.
So that is the best way. 9 questions, 15-minute conversation with a retirement specialist. You will know what a Roth conversion can mean to you. It's that easy. Yep. Some people don't want to take a 9-question survey, even though it's simple. And some people just want to talk. They go to retire15.com. You can just bypass the survey and talk to one of our retirement specialists. Mm-hmm. I do a lot of those too. If you're listening to this show, I appreciate it. Rate us 5 stars, please. Because if you rate us 5 stars, then other people are going to get the benefit that you just got from listening to the show. Now, you should be watching the show on YouTube because you get to see our beautiful faces. And that is on rflshow.com where you can watch this. We have a lot of graphics. And if you are watching this or do watch us on YouTube, do us a favor. Brooke, how many subscribers are we up to now?
535.
Okay. So our goal is to get to 1,000 this year. I think we're going to do it. If you are watching this, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It helps us out. And there's hundreds of other videos on there that are helpful. Thanks for watching. I promise that we're done with Roth conversions at least for a month. And, Andrea told me that we should do a video on college savings. Mm-hmm. So I think that's going to be episode 15, how to prepare for college savings. It's going to be good for our clients. It's going to be good for retirees and their children. So look forward to that topic next week on Retirement for Life show. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Investment advisory services provided by Sear Financial, Inc., SEC registered investment advisor. All content on this podcast is for information purposes only and should not be considered investment, legal, or tax advice. Material presented is believed to be from reliable sources, and no representations are made by our firm as to another party's informational accuracy or completeness.